Then in the bottom right, coming from a black hole, we have Mine Your Biz. And you know what? Make sure you go follow his TikTok. We're trying to get that TikTok out of the shadow realm, out of the black hole, and into the light. Now, Mine, I see you nodding over there. We have the tech stocks. They bled out. We had growth stocks. They bled out. A lot of cryptos also bled out. Are there any opportunities in this space for the next, 3, 6, 9 months? Or is this just a wait and see and keep that dry powder on the sidelines?
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, thanks for having me back on the channel. It's always so much fun to be here with my friends, my comrades, my colleagues at Around the Blockchain and across the various crypto media, Cryptalk, Crypto YouTube, Crypto Twitter. So thanks for having me back. I think this is kind of a wait and see moment, DZ. I really do. I think as far as being able to pick any kind of winners right now, I certainly don't feel qualified to say like, hey, this is definitely going to make it. That's definitely going to make it. And I certainly have stopped saying wag me for a while. So yeah, finding the one that's going to outperform all the rest, I don't know where to look for that sort of a pick in this space. And further, as far as unfortunately being bad news, hate to be that guy, but I'm going to tell it to you straight. I think that there's more bad news in the crypto sphere too. I think that there's very likely a lot more pain that's going to be coming out of some of the institutional players within crypto. So even if you think that there was, or thought that previously that there was safety in working with larger groups, whether it is brokerages or it's any kind of custodial platforms that you thought maybe we're not, we're going to be spared this sort of Damocles, right? The insolvency that's hitting all the rest of the platforms. I think there are going to be some people in for a really nasty shock when we find that more of these groups are insolvent than we even thought up to this point. So yeah, I don't see a whole lot of light at the end of the tunnel yet, but that just means we got to go a little farther, a little deeper into this thing. And we start, keep that dry powder on the side for when we do start to see signs of recovery.
All right, well, Mind Your Biz, you're saying, it could get a little bit worse. We might be entering a stagflation-esque period, similar to the 1970s. Well, during that time, the top-performing asset was a commodity. It was oil. Is there any chance, a commodity like cryptos, let's just say Bitcoin, for you, maybe a Monero? Is it possible that there could be a strong commodity-esque crypto that could perform well during a stagflation period?
Well, it's a really great question because I think, like Wendy's saying, we can reiterate some of the same ideas over and over again. But I think the stagflation question is one that more American or Western, right, members of Western civilization need to be taking more seriously. As mentioned before by Brad, the DCA strategy, but very, very modest DCA is probably going to be all that most people can muster in the face of economic uncertainty. And if the stagflation question is a serious force in our lives, then tightening one's belt, learning how to be more self-sufficient, possibly having a home garden, doing all the prepper level stuff that our forebears who lived through not just, the stagflation of the 70s, but also the Great Depression before that, like learning some of those life skills is going to become essential. And talking about speculative markets of any type or any kind of investment, certainly like I'm a lot more careful about that now. But looking for something that is going to be comparable to digital oil, like the article is saying, or something that's comparable to the energy sector, man, there's no replacement for displacement, right? We've heard about that, the car guys, all our lives. And the same is true of energy exploration, energy diversification, energy like solar batteries, any kind of solar or off-grid technology, learning how to be self-sufficient. If you know how to set up your own hydro or your own wind farms off-grid, all of that's going to become relevant in our lives. And whether or not that's something that we benefit from because we're learning how to be more self-sufficient, ergo saving our money individually and reclaiming our sovereignty individually, or we're looking at these markets to be able to invest, I think that's going to very, very quickly become less important. Some of the stated numbers are talking about, right? The looking towards headline inflation of 9.1%, BS. They were telling us it was 8.3 before, when we knew full well that it was double-digit inflation. When you go and you buy a loaf of bread and it's 150% of what it was before, that is not 8.3%. They've been lying, and they're lying now. So yeah, learning self-sufficiency, that is the new oil. Learning how to do energy or how to store energy off grid if you have solar, properly have your own lithium-ion and capacitor walls to power your home. That is the new oil. Be concerned about that right now. I would say maybe be a little bit less concerned about whether or not Bitcoin compares to crude oil on a chart.
Yeah, liars, or as Holden Caulfield would say, rotten
Scoundrels.
finks. Compass Mining had some resignations. This is a Bitcoin hardware mining company, and they announced the resignation of not just their co-founder, but also their CEO and CFO, the CEO and co-founder Whitney Gibbs and the CFO Jody Fisher. And this apparently stems from their inability to pay 3 months of electricity. They had a letter from, I want to say it was from the utility bills mining, or the facility in Maine. They said, all you had to do was pay $250K for 3 months of power consumption. They tweeted on Monday. And since you don't give your clients the serial numbers, I couldn't even help them. So apparently just didn't pay the bills. Now, Mine Your Biz, I think this kind of speaks to a broader narrative of Bitcoin mining. And I kind of want to just get your thoughts on the profitability levels right now, because at 69,000, you mine a little Bitcoin, there's a really good chance you're in the profit. I don't care where you're getting your power from. It's just going to be economically feasible. Well, now we're down a significant portion, down roughly 80%. Generally speaking, you know, I know there's different energy costs all over the world. Maybe you have your own water plant. I don't know, you know, you have your nuclear facility in your backyard. But broadly speaking, generally speaking, is it profitable to mine Bitcoin at this moment?
Well, first off, to your point about having a nuclear reactor in your own backyard, I would say to anybody who's involved in policy, please allow for micro nukes residentially, because that would change the game for the entire world.
Hey, First Amendment, right? First Amendment. I can have a nuclear weapon. I think that's what George Washington meant.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I believe in creating nuclear energy at home. So,
Same.
you know, don't persecute me for my beliefs. Let me do this. But so first off, I just want to say to Whit and to Jody, you did the right thing by falling on your swords and by taking this PR situation head on the way you did. I think that's extremely important for companies like that to act as responsibly as possible. So kudos to the exec team at Compass Mining for doing the right team. Just disclosure, like, I know Whit outside of headlines like this. So I hope that they land on their feet. I hope things are okay for them and the rest of the people who are employed by this company, because there are families and there are mortgages that are paid for by companies like this too. So this is never without, the fallout is never without collateral damage, right? So kudos to them for doing the right thing there. As far as it being profitable to mine right now, DZ, we're getting into a really interesting inflection point with the cost for power, with some of the energy crisis that's going on, right? With the rising cost for power to be able to generate it in various locations and then run it out to operations like this at large scale. It's really tricky. And a lot of these companies, it's not just Compass Mining, a lot of these companies that are sort of institutional mining groups, they're struggling. I've been a longtime proponent of at-home, small to mid-scale mining, because that puts you in direct control of the profits, and it puts you in direct control of the margins, puts you in direct control of the full operation. So without taking too much time, I'm just going to say I still think that's the way that Satoshi intended for mining to take place on Bitcoin, and the way that proof of work, at least when you do participate in proof of work mining, the way it's supposed to be done. There are other paradigms for chain security, but for proof of work, I think that the only way to ensure that you're profitable long-term is to set up your own renewable energy situation and see to it at the level that you can manage, either by yourself or with a small group of family and friends. But that's all I got to say about that.
And it looks like Mine Your Biz is the winner. With that green brim, you decided to win. So, hey, my friend, feel free to leave us with a few parting thoughts, sir.
Well, first off, it's great to be back, and I wanted to remind the audience to please go sub to Mine Your Biz. You can do that by going to sub.myb.lol. Every click counts, but don't neglect the other panelists here. Ragsy is amazing. Brad drops tremendous alpha right now, and obviously Wendy, you know, she's an absolute queen. So follow everybody on the panel. Appreciate you having me back, and I love the diversity of thought and opinion. Love being here with my friends, my colleagues. Guys, have a blessed day. That's what I got for you.
Was a great panel. Maybe the best we've ever had. But that is all we got time for today, Biz Squad. And until next time, DZ out.